some of the stars from the game as well. But first, let's get your impressions of what we saw tonight from the Nuggets. How did they keep this series going?
I thought, the way Jokic played Game 5, he came out here in Game 6, and, before he was struggling. He ain't struggling no more, Matt.
That's over.
That all that shooting slump and all that stuff, that's out the door. I mean, he was fantastic tonight, scoring the basketball, passing, almost had a triple-double, finished the game with 29, 14, and,
8 assists.
8 assists. I mean, he did it all.
Just one turnover for a guy who has the ball in his hands as much as he does.
I mean, so, we said after Game 5, he's kind of figured out how to score, when to score, who to score against. And tonight he was just able to pick his spots, and before you know it, he's got a stat line, and you're like, wow, I didn't realize he did all that again. So I think, OKC's got a problem. They got to figure out how to stop this guy, because you had him kind of bottled up. Now, he's out, and he ain't getting ready to stop.
No.
So you got to figure out your whole game plan now. Game 7 is, what are you going to do about the Joker? Because he's coming.
Well, no one's really figured out that guy. Tonight, they couldn't really figure out Jamal Murray. Again, questionable with an illness before this game. He was apparently a game-time decision. Comes up with 25 points. He was a plus 28, best for any player on the floor in this game, as it turned out. Zeke predicted it before the game. These sick games sometimes, turn out well for the team with the sick guy.
Man, he came out and he hit him with the, my stomach hurts. He took that podium and absolutely put the barbecue chicken on him. Their attitude, and I said this at the beginning, their attitude and confidence at the beginning of this game was second to none. They came out, established pace. They did not get shook by anything that OKC was doing. I thought OKC at the beginning of the game wasn't really focused on what they wanted to attack. They took the shots that Denver was willing to live with.
Right.
And you want to know one thing that I noticed, and we'll talk about this, whenever section that is. I know why Jokic can play 40 minutes and why he's chilled out now? Because they can be in that zone.
Yeah,
he's not really guarding nobody no more. He's only having to play offense.
Yeah.
If you really watch him, he's chilling half the time. On defense, he's getting a break. Now, obviously, is he tired? He's moving around. But in that zone, he's not in the action.
Yeah.
Neither is Michael Porter Jr. Neither is Jamal Murray. They might be in one little action. But if you got all these guys that couldn't kick that thing in the ocean, you're chilling. And you rebound, and then you get to go play offense. And you know what? Today, as we watched, I think if we watched the film, only twice did two big men ever come over and they moved Hartenstein. They either got Chet on Jokic, and that way he scored on him. He's hitting them with this all game. They didn't know. Listen, they didn't know left, right, up, down.
Put their weight on
what? Put the weight on
him.
Nobody wanted no piece of that. And I thought, this is a bad. Every loss is bad in the playoffs. This is a bad loss for OKC because what are you going to do now? Because you got to fight a lot of what ifs. Is Jalen Williams going to show up? What lineups can I play? Are we going to make shots? How are we going to stop Jokic? Oh, man, now they can go to another guy on the bench. Where Aaron Gordon had a bad game, but what's he going to – you just gave him 2 more days of rest.
Yeah.
You gave Jamal Murray 2 more days of rest. Jokic 2 days of rest. And now how do we have confidence? Now we don't have confidence in what our game plan is versus the most unstoppable dude in basketball right now. So
well, you just addressed several of those.
Several of
the questions they have to face.
Yeah.
There are other questions like, is Aaron Gordon okay? Saw him grab for his hamstring. He was pulled from the game with about 50 seconds left to go.
Oof.
Can OKC solve that Denver zone as well? They really struggled against that at times.
Well, they're seeing 1-3-1 zone.
Yep.
3-2 zone, 2-3 zone, man-to-man, trap, switch. So they, OKC is used to playing one-on-one against their guy, beat you off the dribble, drive, kick, Shea does his thing. But now you're sitting back and you're saying, are they in a 2-3 zone? Are they in a 3-2 zone? Are they in a 1-3-1? How we're attacking? Okay, Game 7 now, when you talk about preparation, you want your players prepared. You want them understanding what they're facing, how to attack it, when we're attacking it, what to do. OKC right now, they're on their heels because they're seeing a lot of things, and I'm going to keep saying this. Then after all of that, you got to figure out what are we going to do about the Joker? Because he's out of the box. He's out of the box.
Here's one thing that just jumped out at the page. When you're in a zone, you know what that makes you do? You have to rely on three-point shooting or you have to rely on the pass. When you have to rely on the pass or three-point shooting, what does that do? It keeps you off the free throw line.
Yep.
So Denver had 32 free throws, right? Yes. Sorry, I don't have my glasses. OKC had 16.
16,
Yeah.
yep.
So, Shea is working hard to get them free throws, but he's really the only creator. And Jalen Williams, like, you're the number 2 guy. You played almost 40 minutes. You can't get to the free throw line? That's a thing. You got to have a different mentality, brother. We need more than 6.
Are they playing against Jim Boeheim and Syracuse?
But the thing is, it has them so shook that they are not doing what you have to do. And maybe it's film, maybe it's youthfulness, but you can't settle a game with 16 and give up 32 free throws because that means they put that body on you. You're fouling. Think about the dumb fouls that they had today where you were like, for what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For what? And then Shea gets 4. Now he really ain't playing defense.
That was a huge storyline in this game as well. We can delve deeper into a lot of this, including the OKC offense, which got really stagnant at times. Just a lot of dribbling and one-on-one leading to nothing for head coach David Adelman.
Go ahead. David, I'll start with Julian. The run at the end of the third quarter, obviously huge in terms of getting you guys some separation. How important was it to have someone kind of lower down on the bench, I guess, step up in those moments?
Yeah, and I think Julian's going to get credit for scoring 15 points. I thought he held water defensively, too. That was a big deal. You want to keep an offensive player out there, but they have to be able to handle their own on the other end, and he did. We didn't have to change schematically, defensively, because he sat down, moved his feet, and guarded. And then, obviously, him being able to stay out there because of that, 15 points in 19 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it's funny thinking about Game 5 and Game 4. You know, Game 4, their role players make threes. Game 5, Dort makes threes. Tonight, we had a guy step up, make some shots, and then our main people were so complimentary. And obviously in the fourth quarter, to win that quarter after what's happened the last 2 games, says a lot about our guys and the fact that they can bounce back from anything. And I keep saying that. So, I don't know. We just keep finding a way. We'll go play another Game 7.
Coach, another game where you have an 8-point lead going to the fourth quarter,
Yep.
and this time, and you talked pregame about getting time to rest Jamal, and you did rest Jokic as opposed to last game. Can you just take us through the thought process of why you sort of changed things up and how that worked for you?
Well, it's going to be one or the other. Like I said, last game I kind of kicked myself for not taking one of them out, and Nikola seemed body language-wise like he wanted to sit for a second. The beautiful thing was I had 4 timeouts again. I know it didn't work out last game, but that does let you control your substitutions.